Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We are happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
Ayodeji Ajishope
and
Adedamola Lafenwa
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
All right, ready for the business for the day and for the week. It's the beginning of a brand new week. Thank God for the breath of life. Thank God for counting you and I worthy to be among the living to see the 10th day in the month of February 2025. My name is Adedamola Lafenwa, and the program is from the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. And peradventure, this is your first time on the program. This is where we get to take you through the stories on the front pages of our newspapers. And I have Comrade Ayodeji Ajishope live in the studio with me this Monday morning. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade Ayodeji
Yes,
Ajishope.
a wonderful Monday morning to you, my dear comrade brother, and of course to our esteemed listeners and viewers wherever they may be. It's another Monday morning.
Okay, I really hope you had a restful weekend. Let me
Yes, I did. A restful week indeed. A restful week indeed.
A restful week, okay,
Yes,
which extended into the weekend.
Yes, I needed it. I
Okay.
actually needed it.
All right, looking at the papers this morning, I have about 5 newspapers. I have the Guardian, the Nation newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune, the Vanguard, and of course the Punch newspaper. And interestingly, most of these newspapers talk about health. They are giving health more prominence this morning. And taking the account of the Guardian newspaper, it says 107 days of blackout. Patients, caregivers desert UCH wards as health services decline. That is found on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Away from that health story, man, NECA warn of NPA customs charges impact on businesses, Nigerians. Page 3 of Guardian has that story. And this is a very amusing, hilarious, let me put it hilarious, coming from Atiku Abubakar, former vice president. It said, snakes, monkeys, others must not swallow $1.07 billion health budget. Atiku warns. Page 3. We've had cases of snakes and monkeys swallowing huge sums of money, and nothing was done concerning that. So he's giving us 10 warning now, coming from Atiku Abubakar. Why some leaders suffer withdrawal syndrome after leaving office, by Fayemi, page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. Police heed court ruling to reabsorb retired officers, page 5. Serap sues Tinubu AGF over alleged 167 billion naira fraud by contractors. And those clamoring for creation of a new state need to listen to this. Development equity concerns fuel controversy over proposed state. Development equity concerns fuel controversy over proposed state. And okay, let me move away from the Guardian newspaper and let's check out other newspapers. Taking a look at the Nigerian Tribune this beautiful Monday morning, FD steps into power outage crisis at UCH, and Rider, Power Minister IBEDC MD visit hospital today. Patients not bringing generators to power wards. Management, page 4. I mean, I hope this turns out well, because the federal government is stepping in into the power outage, the prolonged power outage in the almighty UCH.
107 days today.
107
Since
days.
26th of October last year.
So sad. Away from that now, investors favor 364-day bonds, treasury bills. And the biggest story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune says questions persist over PDP National Secretary. I remember sometime last week, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, was asking Senator Abba Moro, when this man defected from the PDP to the APC, Ned Nwoko, and it generated a kind of controversy at the floor. And he was saying that he had to defect because of the crisis rocking the PDP. And I remember Senator Abba Moro stood up and said, minority whip. And he said that there was no basis for Ned Nwoko to leave the PDP, that PDP was intact. And Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President, asked him a question. Who is your national secretary?
So what did he say?
He mentioned one name.
Okay. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, still talking about PDP, there's a write under that caption, why BOT backed governors on Anyanwu's removal. Away from that, 1 year after, 1 year is past. 1 year after Tinubu, Macron, Obasanjo, Sanwo-Olu, others pay tribute to Herbert Wigwe. Kate, are you here today?
So yeah, our time flies.
Our time flies. Leadership not title but sacrifice, service to people, Fayemi. And another one, Binani won Adamawa 2023 Google polls. Dismissed REC insists Adamawa government challenges him to provide evidence.
It's as simple as that.
Simple as that. APC set to hold NEC meeting, says opposition merely out to grab power for personal that's a big English there. Aggrandizement. Okay. We've spoken about that for many times on this platform, saying that most of these opposition parties are only clamoring to grab power.
Power.
And APC saying that
To
too.
what end? In whose interest?
Okay, looking at the Vanguard newspaper now, Saudi Arabia limits visas for travelers from Nigeria, 13 other countries. Manufacturers fault NPA on 15% port charges hike. And the biggest story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this Monday morning, it says, JAPA, underfunding, inefficiency, undermining public hospitals. And riders, JAPA reduces health professionals from 300,000 in 2017 to 90,000 in 2024. Still taking the riders, privatize specialist hospitals for greater efficiency. Experts say emergency care is undermined. Canvas more government investment. Late Herbert Wigwe, a builder of institutions, leaves. Tinubu, Macron, others. Page 5 of the Vanguard has that story. Hardship affecting attendance, offering in churches. Anglican Bishop laments. Page 10 has that story. And the last one I'll be taking on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper says, suspended Edo local government chairman warned banks against change of signatories. And now to the Punch newspaper, 70,000 naira minimum wage. State salaries rise by 90% to 3.8 trillion naira. And rider, 27 states depend on federal allocation to pay salaries. Plan 6.259 trillion naira IGR. Okay, away from that story, Rivers community deserted as cultists killed 19 residents. Drug courier excrete 125 heroin wraps at Lagos Port Harcourt Airport. Kwankwaso win Aregbesola to get Southwest votes. Okay, Kwankwansiya Chieftain. Okay, that story is found on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. And the last one I'll be taking, Why We Won't Appear Before Ikimi Panel, Autumn, Others, page 6 of the Punch newspaper. Okay, still from the Daily Zone Solutions 93.9 FM. It's 20 minutes to 10. And I have Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokbe, and together we'll be looking at the stories one after the other. The first one I'd like us to talk about is the state of situation, the state of power in the UCH, because they say charity begins at home. So let's start from Ibadan here. 107 days after, UCH still in blackout, total blackout. And the rider, the caption on the front page of the Guardian says, patients, caregivers desert UCH wards as health services decline. What do you make of
I
that?
do love contextualizing things, and let us put UCH, that facility, what is generally called the University College Hospital. There is the hospital, and there is the College of Medicine. The College of Medicine includes the Alexander Brown Hall, and then the clinical, the clinical classes that they hold. Then the University Teaching Hospital. And of course, you know that the teaching hospital itself has several departments. I've been thinking some of these departments, like pathology, for instance, and, because of what we do, we interface with this. When I was wondering, that is the head of pathology, and I asked him a few, I interacted. I said, look, how are you people coping with, because you have samples that must be maintained at certain temperatures. I have a neighbor who works in the University College Hospital, and she was telling me, so many things that are, and this was about 2 months ago, that had to be thrown away. You understand? That had to be thrown away, discarded, because they were not maintained at that
and as the living are suffering from that, the dead too.
The dead
in the morgue.
The dead in the morgue. And, the way they do their things in that particular morgue, I say all these things because I'm quite familiar. I've been familiar with UCH since the 80s, you understand? And I still go there maybe twice a month for whatever reason. And it's a massive, massive facility. When this crisis came, the College of Medicine, when they were persuading the College of Medicine to share out of the body and all of that, the College of Medicine simply withdrew and started installing solar panels. Because what do they say, what do we do here? We hold classes and all of that. We are not the ones that, we can run our stuff with solar panels. And they started withdrawing and started installing solar panels. But after all, we're just a school, you understand? They don't keep all that stuff. Now, and then you hear the what do you call it, the Minister of the Power is stepping in after 107 days. Let us quantify the damage that has been done to that institution. And believe you me, I don't know how the leadership, the management of the University College Hospital has been able to be to just let this go on. You understand? And like I said maybe last week or so, that what do you call capital projects are ongoing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, because when you mentioned what the management has been doing, you said that sometime last week or a week
capital
ago
projects
that
are
capital
ongoing.
projects are ongoing. Is this what we can call misplaced priority? If they are spending huge amount of money on capital projects, and that power sector, which is very critical to a lot of things in that institution, was not attended to. And as at 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we read it on this platform that UCH was saying that they were helpless. They didn't know what to do as regards persuading IBEDC to restore
I think I've said it on a number of platforms. The chief executive officer, I started with the university because I worked with, two chief executive officers, the ones you call vice chancellors of university. And I saw the difference between two of them. I saw the difference between one that had entrepreneurial capacity, apart from administrative capacity. Look, running these things now goes beyond administrative capacity. You understand? You must have a vision. Look, These things are questionable. We were at Abuad, and in our interaction with Area Favola, I said I counted about 30 power generators on this campus. Small, not a particularly, yes, big campus, but for God's sake, what's the population of students in Abuad? They had 30 generators. And I said, so what are you doing? He said they don't use them anymore, that they've converted to CNG. In this Ibadan, most plants, I don't want to mention names, they converted to CNG years ago. You look, as a, what do you call it, as a CMD, you have 2 terms of 5 years. 5 years is enough, even if you didn't plan to become CNB. If you
5
landed,
years each.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I think they allow them to do 2 terms. It is only universities don't allow them to do 2 terms. In the College of Medicine, in the what do you call it, usage, for tertiary health, they allow them to do 2 terms. Now, even 1 single term, if you didn't even know what you know more, you must. I work with your vice chancellor. When he came, I worked. The first thing he gave me is my vision. He had a vision. He had vision. That was the first thing he gave me. You understand? When he invited me to go, my vision. So that was what we were working. For God's sake, you must have. What does it take? You understand? And then there is the issue of this handout thing that we do. It extends to the states too. You just go and collect. You go and collect. We are 60 what years now? We'll be 65 years this October. We should have deepened. After all, we are products of the British system. We should have deepened our health insurance structure. You understand? Look at how the British system runs on health insurance. If 1 million people are on health insurance, you can bet that 10,000 people are not going to access it. You understand? So if 1 million people are contributing and 10,000 access it, you know that it's like a cooperative. That's the way to describe it. A cooperative setup. So there will be funds. You know, there will be liquidity to all that machinery. It is very expensive paying out of pocket for medical, for health. And you know the ridiculous part? I cross-checked. People who are on health insurance, they're not even accessing it. So there is so much liquidity. But people are not, they're not doing that. And people have this attitude. When people are in government, I worked in government. People have this attitude. They don't care. Nobody cares as long as I get paid. They don't care. But the problem is that if the structure, look, people now stop going to UCH. They're finding other means. And then the revenue stops coming. Oh, they pay. I'm sure they don't pay 100%. No federal institution gets 100%, or even state. You must augment. So what if they don't have money coming in to augment what they get? You understand? It's going to affect them. They start. That is when it now comes to firing some people. That is when people now start getting worried. And then the unions will stand up. Are you hearing anything from the unions? How many unions are in UCH? Are you hearing from them? Are they sitting down with management? But all their concern is we must be paid.
You know, like what you just said, some people have speculated that, raised some speculations that UCH is being run that way because it's a federal establishment. It were to be a private establishment, no leader of the management will fold his arms and watch things rot like that.
It's a monumental scandal and an embarrassment.
107 days total blackout.
And then we hear
now
ministers
they are
stepping in.
It's stepping in.
Stepping into what? Where have they been?
Power.
Where have they been? I mean, 400 million naira debt. I mean, you sit down and you do.
You're asking where the minister has been.
Yes.
UCH is making money. Where is UCH spending the money? What is UCH spending the money on?
Well, in the interest of the public, you step in. IBEDC, you understand? UCH, let's sit down. What's the issue? We cannot pay. Well, this is our rate. We're going to be paying. We owe 400 million. We pay 10 million.
Ideally, should the Minister of Power step into this?
No, it shouldn't.
Ideally,
ideally it shouldn't. Ideally, it shouldn't. But for God's sake, incidentally, it doesn't have to even come from Oyo. It's a federal facility. He's in charge of power. And the federal government still has interest in power. You understand? no matter what they are saying, whether these things are commercial, they still have interest in power. So I mean, there isn't but 107 days
Days.
after, and then it is the University College Hospitals. I don't like one man who tell me when the governor of Oyo State, then governor of Oyo State, was not paying salaries, he said he asked him, he said, how are you able to sleep? I mean, you go to bed, people are not paid 5, 6, 7. You experienced it. People are not paid 5, 6, 7 months, and you are able to go to bed and sleep. You understand? And you come to your office. You understand? You say you're a CMD of UC, and you come to your office. Come on, that's ridiculous. You say you're in charge.
Now that the minister and I am the managing director of IBEDC are stepping in there to visit the hospital today, what should we expect from
What
that?
are they visiting the hospital for? To do what?
It's in the news.
Is the challenge physical?
It is actually physical
What are
to an
they?
extent.
Is it physical? Are they going to be? Are they going to be inspecting where they switch on the light and switch it off or what? Eh? They could even resolve that virtually.
No, maybe they will go and see where the wires that IBEDC
They
has
can resolve
cut
that
off.
virtually, you know.
Because
Without
the
having-
power outage was as a result of being cut off by IBEDC
Eh.
for owing. So maybe the minister needs to go and see the length of wire that would
That's
need to be
drama.
bought
I mean,
and,
they can even resolve this virtually. And then the CMD of UCH, you go to the office in the morning, get suited up and say, yeah, I'm CMD of this place, and there's no power supply in the hospital. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so from the dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM, we are not yet moving away from the health issues because there is another paper, that's the Vanguard newspaper, talking about the decay in our health sector, and it is being put, JAPA, underfunding, inefficiency, undermining public hospitals. And okay, let me start from the JAPA. They listed the reasons, the things affecting the hospitals now. They say JAPA reduces health professionals from 300,000 in 2017 to 90,000 in 2024. Now, with all this, they keep saying that medical experts are JAPAing. Why won't they? Looking at imagine the medical experts at the UCH. You wake up every morning, you go to work where there's power outage.
That's just, you know the thing, the difference now.
That alone is discouraging.
You see, beyond financial remuneration, there is the environment factor in which you work. Look, imagine there was, of course, this is the facility we occupy is purpose built. Now, no air conditioning, or imagine that there is no air conditioning air, or there is a problem and it is not fixed in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And we're not going to be sitting there comfortable. So beyond the financial remuneration, there is also the environment part of it. You're going to work, you are unhappy. And the reason why you're not particularly happy is the environment which you are going to be operating. I think I recanted here, not this last year. A cousin of mine was involved in a domestic accident, and we were in the emergency, and what did they call emergency ward?
The UCH.
Yes.
Okay.
And one doctor was there, and he was busy shouting up and down. And I said, what's the problem? He said, there are 18 patients here. He said, one nurse attending to 18 patients in accident and emergency. A&E, UCH, tertiary health facility.
And you can imagine the number of patients that department receives on a daily basis.
You know UCH now. Everybody goes, headache, they go to UCH now. Because the primary health care, the UCH is not being deployed for what it was designed for.
We're still going to talk about the underfunding too, affecting the health sector.
Yes. So this jackpot thing that they're talking about is not new. This is the third wave. The first wave started in 1984 when Buhari came to power. It affected the academics and the medical personnel. I think he banned, he proscribed NME and what do they call it?
ASU.
He proscribed those two. That was the first wave. And then the second wave came in the days of Babangida.
Around 1991 or so.
Yes, that was the second wave. My sister went with the second wave, they never came back. Yeah. Her husband is professor of medicine.
So your sister also jackpot then too.
Since 1990, they just like,
What was her reason?
they saw the threat now, so they just like, so this is the third wave now. But this third wave is out of desperation. People are desperate. People do not see, they say there's a silver lining somewhere. People can't, there's no silver lining for
So
people.
there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
So you look, when you think that the door is actually, the whole thing is shutting down, it's like you want to escape. So that is the challenge that we are currently faced.
That is for the jackpot.
Yeah.
What about the underfunding? Underfunding, inefficiency, undermining public
I
hospitals.
think when we say underfunding, I love to contextualize things. You want to say they were getting ₦1 million before, they're now getting 750, the value has gone down. Look, it is high time. There are some things that cannot be done by government alone. I've always been of the opinion that education, as it were, in this country currently, cannot be funded by government alone. I'll give you the instance, the example of Oyo State.
Okay.
There are over 600 secondary schools in Oyo State. 600 secondary schools. What's the budget of Oyo State? Oyo State pays, and then the first. That's why you have the structures that are terribly dilapidated and in scandalous and embarrassing. I say this authoritatively because I was born into education and I interface with some of these schools because we deliver CSR, what did they call it? We deliver, and I feel very uncomfortable when principals are virtually, go and come and do this, come and do this, come and do this. And they see quality. So when you talk about underfunding, we have to devise a means of funding beyond all this doling out money. And then the next one, inefficiency and underfunding. What are they doing with what they're taking? What are they doing with what they're taking? This same UCH that we're talking about, I'm going to be very, very specific. I went to a broadcasting house one day and I saw a Lexus 570 and Toyota Hilux, utility vehicles, about 4 of them, with the engine running, air conditioning. And I said, who is this? They say he's the CMD of UCH. He was in a news call, he was in a press media conference with the chief executive of that broadcasting house. And he was there for about 2 hours, and the motorcade of Lexus 570 and 5 utilities vehicles. They kept the engine running. And what was it doing with? What was it doing with? You see, all these things, you buy that for 200. He has a backup, Abi, and all of that. Fuel goes. What is the essence of this thing? They had a CMD in UCH at the time that was going around with police escorts. Does it still go around with police escorts now? When it's no longer CMD? And they were paying those people on a daily basis, apart from their salaries. They are paying their. What's the meaning of all that? But you see, it's symptomatic of the society in which we operate. Every member of House of Assembly has one police only. We have 500,000 policemen. 250 are guarding our elite. 250 are guarding 200 million. You understand? So all these nonsense that people must, but people are not asking questions. People are not asking questions.
So we really can't blame underfunding, inefficiency.
Inefficiency.
I'm still trying to point out the inefficiency in what you're talking about now.
Yes, it is. And then we must deepen health insurance. Maybe we are product of the British colonial system. Why don't we have health insurance? Why didn't we copy that one? That is what is sustaining that society. Health insurance is Oyo State is doing.
Oyo State is doing,
but it's not widespread enough. It's not widespread enough. People, we don't insure anything. We pray.
Maybe the awareness is not enough.
What awareness is not our thing. We pray. If you build a house, they say insure the house. They say, God will protect it. God will protect it. What if the house gets burnt? That's stupidity. It's outright stupidity. People don't insure their cars. Police is harassing people now just to insure their cars. My wife works in insurance, you understand? But it's the insurance companies too. They don't want to pay. But if you go to proper insurance, is health insurance. You know the meaning of insurance now. So if there is, that is preparing for. So we should dip in health insurance.
Now, before we leave this health issue now, there is this particular advice from medical experts saying that privatize specialist hospitals for greater efficiency. What is your take on that? That the specialist hospitals should be privatized. Maybe they should be taken away from the government's hands so that we can have better efficiency. Talking about inefficiency now.
You see, people forget that they call them teaching hospital. That's why they call them teaching
Because
hospitals.
I told you that if UCH was a private-owned hospital, it wouldn't be in blackout for 107 days.
It won't be in blackout for 24 hours.
That is it. So that is why some people are suggesting that maybe these specialist hospitals should be privatized
People should
for
understand
better efficiency.
the rationale for establishing it. They are called teaching hospitals. People should understand that. Just like when we were growing up, there were, what do they call them? Teacher training colleges. There were what they call practicing schools attached to them, where the teachers that were being trained in those colleges had schools to practice. You know they do teaching practice. When you are in education, whether BSc or whatever, you do teaching practice. So those colleges had practicing schools. That is why they are called teaching hospitals for the colleges, for the colleges of medicine. That's why they're called teaching hospitals. So people should understand the rationale for their establishment before they start making calls like this. They are teaching hospitals
Okay.
for clinicals. That is why when doctors come in the morning, you will find 8 of them standing by your bed. You think they are, of course they are doing ward rounds, but certainly they are doing their classes too. And of course, in ignorance, those who do not know, say, 8 doctors came to attend to me this morning. They are running their own class.
So if those institutions can be privatized, what will be a way out or way forward to avoid this embarrassing situations?
You see, the question is, you put people in places. What is their mandate?
See, I'm particular about this thing because it is believed that most of these government-owned establishments suffer. I know a particular radio station that when there's no NEPA, they won't put on the gen because they'll say they don't have fuel. And that station might be off air for days. Government owned. I don't want to make, but you hardly see that happening in privately owned radio stations. So
Because,
it is believed that anything that has to do with the government, there's this attitude whether we do or not, or salary will drop.
Even if they buy diesel, if the diesel is 1,000 naira, you can be sure that they will add 20 naira per liter for the GM. Director of admin, 20 naira. Chairman, 20 naira.
That is the general belief now, that most things in government are lacking.
People don't care. People working in government, employees, as long as their salaries are paid, they don't think they have a stake.
That's why this suggestion is coming. Maybe they should be privatized.
No,
put in the hands of individuals that can fund.
You know the funny part? These tertiary facilities are now serving primary health care purposes. That's the fact. That is why people you don't have complications. You don't want to have a baby. Look, come on. When we were growing up, you go to Jericho Nursing Home, not even a hospital. Jericho Nursing Home. That's where you will go. What am I going to do in UCH? So these are the challenges. We should strengthen the primary health care and then the general hospitals. But go to those primary health care facilities. Some are good, some of those primary health care, or just it has revamped virtually all the primary. But is it the business of the state? No, it is not. Leave these things in the hands of. But you see, challenges. They will bring drugs there. These nurses and the aides, they will steal the drugs. I know these things because they will steal.
Some take these drugs to their own.
Because there will be no penalty. Because there's no, when they say good governance, I say I don't want good governance. I want transparency and accountability. That is what will give us the good governance.
All right, this is still from the Daily Zone Solutions 93.9 FM. So much have been talked about this health issue. Let's move to another issue now that is on the front page of the Punch newspaper, talking about the state salaries rising by 90% to 3.8 trillion naira. And in essence, this story is talking about the fact that because the 70,000 naira minimum wage has been implemented, and this has caused many states to gear up their budgets as regards salaries. And most of this, the sad thing about this is that 27 states out of 36 states depend solely on federal allocation to pay salaries, which is terrible. Now these states have to pay more on salaries to implement the 70,000 naira minimum wage, and they are all dependent. What is wrong with our governors? Why are they not looking inward in order to increase the IGR?
Look, you see, number one, the structure of this union. This is not what our founding fathers, Nigeria's founding fathers, negotiated. If you look at the 1960 Independence Constitution and the Republican Constitution of 1963, Nigeria was negotiated in such a way that federating units, the northern part, then the southeast and the southwest, you contributed to the center. You understand? But now you go and take from the center. That is not a federation. That's a unitary system that we are operating. Rather than contributing now, look, when in the days of even Second Republic, did you hear the governors gathering in Northern Barracks to go and meet Shagari?
Now, we know that the federal allocation has increased greatly now. Is this not going to make these governors lazy or lazier now? Because, okay, more money is coming from the FAC, so let's
Number one, there's no transparency. There is no transparency. You see, when you say federal allocation, they think they think they share every month is all they get. They get more than that. There are other sources of income, you know, they get more than that. There are some other specific, you know, when they do share that thing, money that is shared goes into some specific accounts, you understand? That is shared, you know, along with it. They don't break it down. They never break it down. Dari stole money for, what do you call it? Ecological fund. Dari stole money for ecological fund. That is another, you know, derivation and all of that. So, but we have fragmented Nigeria into so many units that some are not just viable in the real sense of it. They're not just viable. And then,
you're talking about the states.
yes.
Okay.
And then, honestly, when crude oil came, we did not, our taxation system did not involve. Even in the north, there is what they used to call Jangali tax. Nobody collects that anymore.
The tax on cattle.
Yeah, I remember on the streets of Ibadan, they used to arrest people, adults. They would demand people don't pay tax.
Owole. I remember those
People
days.
just get out there and ask people whether they pay tax. People don't pay tax.
Owori.
People don't pay tax. The only people paying tax are whose taxes are deducted from. So people don't pay tax. People don't think the orientation is government, government. Anything that happens, just anything happens, you will see people saying government. Government should do this. Government should
Now,
do
if
that.
you say some states the existing states are not viable, and we have another clamor at the National Assembly to create more states, when we have states that are not viable, that don't even know how to generate income for their sustenance on their own.
If you ask me, I will say, thank God, one of the legacies of Abacha was, you know, this geopolitical zone, south, east, south, you know. We should simply go back to the geopolitical zones, believe you me, that came in the days of Abacha. We should simply, and then, you know, break it down, a geopolitical zone, pull your resources together, and then states as units, and then the local government under. But what they're doing in national, that one is a joke. You and I, we talked about it.
Why would you call that a joke when some
I'm a
people are
student
really
of
pressing
What
so
are
hard,
they pressing? They are
agitating so hard for it?
It's a joke. It's not going to happen. Not under this constitution. Federal constitutions are usually quite rigid. You know the processes. They will do that in the National Assembly, pass it to the 36 states, and the 36 states have to ratify it. So who's going to ratify it? If there is any justification for creation of state in Nigeria, it is the creation of one state in the southeast.
Why?
Equity. Equity. Everybody else, Ibadan, people are deceiving themselves, running around. Politicians are deceiving others and say they want another person in Oyo is talking about creation. It's a joke. It's not going to happen.
Hey, you spoke about equity. Now, development equity are concerns fueling controversy over proposed state as put by the Guardian newspaper.
Equity. 5 states in the southeast. That's not nice. Add another 1 to it. Make it 6. There are 7 states in the northwest. So I just want
What are the things that should be looked into before creating the states in? You said that equity. You said there are 5 states in the southeast. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Is it not supposed to be based on their geographical landmass?
Well, no. What has landmass got to do with the Avlan? What value is the land? With all the land in the north, if you look at Nigeria's map, you will see the north. At least according to
because we have some states in the north that are bigger than 2 states on the
Niger is bigger than the entire southeast.
You can imagine, Niger state is bigger than the entire southeast.
And they call it the power state. So what's coming from Niger? Huh? What's the IGR? What is coming from Niger? What is the IGR?
Despite all the natural
Landmass.
resources.
And that is one of the critical factors used in sharing revenue in Nigeria. Landmass. Landmass that is not productive. And that's a major critical factor in sharing revenue in Nigeria.
And we have a tiny Bayelsa that is giving
and Delta,
crude oil.
and Delta.
And Delta. Delta is even still bigger.
Big.
Bayelsa is a very small state
So,
producing huge resources for the country.
and of course, you know the South South, and you know the despoliation that has taken place in that place. They just destroyed. They themselves enabled it, with their bunkering and all of that. So equity demands that they should add 1 state to the southeast, and at least represent. One of the key factors in federalism is representation. If they have 5 states and each state has 3 senators, that's 15. One geopolitical zone has 7 states. That's 7 times 3, 21. So when they are voting in the Senate and all of that, equity demands. All the other ones that they're talking about is a joke.
Okay, just before we move into political stories, let's talk about this Nigerian Port Authority, the increment in their custom charges. Now, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and NECA warn of NPA customs charges impact on businesses and Nigerians. What's a 15% increment?
No, it's 4%.
I saw it one newspaper. Okay, it's 4%. Okay, 4%
4%
now.
yeah.
NECA rejects new 4% customs levy, warns it will further impoverish Nigerians. Let's look at this particular story now.
When I saw that story, I was just wondering the implications.
What prompted the 4% in the first place? Why is it needed now?
There are no increased charges for so many years.
Oh, okay. It's
And
an era of increment of charges now,
And they're
because
just-
Telcos did theirs.
And they're just doing the needful to, to even out with the what they usually call the global best practices. But you see, NECA said that the implications, this is 4%, Abi, on face value, but the implications will amount to 80%, translate into 80% increase in costs. And then who bears the cost at the end of the day? They'll just pass the cost to the end, to the retail end. And that's scary.
That's you and I.
You and I? That's scary. That is really, really, really scary. 80% in the circumstances in which people are in this country. That's scary.
Which means cost of items being brought in
Yeah.
will skyrocket.
Yeah. And NECA is also saying that taxes are being reviewed. And when taxes are being reviewed, we're talking about streamlining, the taxation structure in Nigeria. And then you are bringing
coming with this to counter what is already on ground.
Where do we locate this in the entire superstructure of taxation. When I saw what it might translate into, I was a little concerned and worried because we're looking at towards the third quarter of this year that there will be stability. And you know the consequences. I don't know how many people, apart from companies, manufacturing outfits closing down, I don't know how many people have been fired or have lost their jobs.
You said there will be stability by what? By when?
Stability, exchange rate. Some factors, the issue of exchange rate, then the issue of spending so much money importing petroleum products, which affect the availability of foreign exchange that is critical for manufacturers.
But even this recent drop in pump price of fuel, has it had any effect on on Nigerians? Let me just put it that way. On Nigerians, as we've not started feeling this effect.
Is this significant?
It's not significant
It's
enough.
not significant enough. So
Now, if you're saying that there will be stability very soon, later this year, let me remind you that electricity tariff hike, I mean, it's coming up.
I don't
very
think
soon.
so.
You don't think so?
I don't want to believe so.
The-
Because there is a specific number of years that the regulator insists on.
Okay. So Nigerians shouldn't raise their.
If the tariff goes up, it won't be for band A, it should be for the band B. and
What
C.
makes you think so? It was never said like that.
No, because there are rules of engagement. You cannot just, based on your whims and caprices, there is a time frame. It's just like house rent. People don't know that your landlord cannot just say, I want to increase house rent, and then increase it by 50%. No, the law says you can't do that 25%. And you cannot do so more than once in 3 years. So this is the same rule that applies. I think it's a 5-year period. If they're going to increase anything, it is band B and C that they are going to increase. I think that's band D too. I think they cancel band E. Let's be honest with ourselves. Me, I don't deceive myself when people are paying 56 naira for 1 kilowatt of power. Who does that anywhere? The average is around 300 naira for it to be profitable. And the only thing I will insist on is no more this thing they call estimated billing. Meter everybody. When you meter everybody, then
Metering everybody, is it possible?
I
Let's
don't,
be realistic. Is it possible?
it is mandatory.
It is mandatory, but is it possible?
Then how are you going to say you want to jack the price up to 300 naira and then you give me estimated billing? And what am I paying for? Somebody called me over the weekend. Even in Bodija, I will not have light. Some parts of Bodija will not have light for 4 days. And then you give me estimated billing. I must pay. And meanwhile, I asked, the woman that was in charge of our area, I say, where do you get these billings from? He said, yeah, we don't have access to your house when we had, those old meters. I said, so how do you arrive at what the bill you give us? Shebi, we just count the number of houses and we are told collect 10 million from them every month. And they will distribute the 10 million over the number of the houses.
Distribute it.
I had one woman not too far from us. She has a pure water business. Anytime power went off like this, she ran into a panic mode because she was going to pay IBDEC, I think 50,000 or 70,000 there per month, and then she was still going to run her generator round the clock. So she always ran into it. So if there was any problem with power, she would ensure that the power was restored so that she won't have to pay for generator, the diesel, and still pay IBDEC. So if we are going to jack it up, I don't think it's realistic. People are paying 56 naira per kilowatt per hour. It is not realistic. Somebody was telling me he bought 5,000 naira power in October. He has not expended it. That's not realistic. Reasonably, it has to be around 250 or thereabout. If you check it out, the cost of power. That is those who are producing efficiently. But their inefficiency is not our own business. Let them meter everybody. But are they going to meter people in Onigari? Are they going to meter people? Some people will pay for that.
Some people pay for that.
Who will pay?
Okay, still from the Daily Zone Solutions 93.9 FM. As we gradually wrap up things on the program, let's go into some political stories that we have here. And there's this question that has been rocking every now and then. Let me ask you, who is the National Secretary of the PDP?
I'm not a member of the PDP.
Nobody knows that because there are two names now. PDP there was a time Damagum, we had a leadership crisis as the chairman of the national chairman of the PDP. Now it's moving to the national secretary. We have Odo Okoye and another one, Anyawo. And as put as by the Nigerian Tribune, questions persist over PDP national secretary. Now, why BOT-backed governors on Anyawo's removal? When will this crisis stop rocking the PDP?
When there is the overriding interest of the party. You know, I keep saying this, that I do not see political parties in our society. What I see are special purpose vehicles for grabbing power. Those who are getting together now, are they talking about national interest? They're not talking about national interest. They're talking about, and even the language they deploy. They say they're wresting power. They want to take power from, what do you call this one, APC. To do what? Huh? Even the current president, you are running for office. You are saying
looking at the PDP as a party critically now, can we say that we have people that genuinely love the party at heart in that party? Looking at this, I mean, if you truly love the party at heart, you should be able to reach. We are talking about adults here. We are talking about grown-ups. We are talking about fathers here. This is not a child's play. Can they, if they truly have the interest of the party, the growth of the party, the development of the party at heart, shouldn't they reach a compromise? Why are they're making it look as if we are dealing with kindergartens?
You know, why you
fighting on very minute issues.
I don't think it's about parties.
It should be about the parties.
Should be. Is there a common vision? You understand? You might disagree. There might be variation about strategies and tactics, but goal must be the same thing. There must be a clearly defined goal that you all subscribe to. Strategies, tactics, yes, but okay, let's go back in time a little bit. President Obasanjo was seated and he instructed when they were, hell-bent on removing Jonathan from office. He asked somebody, instructed, so he didn't do it personally. He kept insisting on that. Tore his party card. You understand? You understand? All these things. Where are the founding fathers of the PDP? Where are they? Those who gave life to PDP. Where are they today? I recall a gentleman, Dr. Alex Ekweme, Nigeria's former vice president. Of course, the man, was a statesman. He was not given any serious recognition in his days. You understand? In spite of, he behaved as a gentleman. When he lost, just like when Wike lost now. He didn't try to pull the party down. Wike and his co-travelers, they're trying to pull the party down. So,
do we blame Wike and his co-travelers now? Because to some Nigerians now, it seems everybody in the PDP is trying to pull that party down. Because if a particular set is trying to pull it down, why don't the other party try to reach a compromise? Okay, for the sake of this party. Because the PDP doesn't look like a party that is ready to occupy Aso Rock.
In fact, the thing that baffles me.
And this crisis is making them to lose many states. They just lost Edo.
Yeah, it will go on like that for a while. Have you not noticed that it's a cycle? PAPC will win the next presidential election, barring unforeseen circumstances.
But PDP doesn't look like a party that is ready for any serious business.
it is the members of the PDP that are holding it down.
And are some people benefiting from this crisis rocking the
Certainly,
PDP?
Wike will benefit. He will probably serve another 4 years when if Tinubu wins, and he will get his close associates. You understand?
And yet he remains untouchable in the PDP.
That's the most ridiculous part of it. I don't know. Have you noticed that Damagun has shifted position on the Rivers 28 or so?
Yeah.
So, I don't even know. Are you sure the rules of engagement BOT met and said they endorsed IAO? Eh? The IAO, the BOT that met, 80% of them, their term of office has expired. How can you? That's an illegal gathering by the rules of engagement. Your tenure has expired, and then you are still holding meeting, and you are saying you are endorsing. And there are court cases, though. Appellate courts, 2 appellate courts gave of the one in Enugu, Federal Court of Appeal in Enugu, and then the one in Abuja. They gave 2. So why don't you wait till the resolution by the court? How can you now meet and say you are endorsing? You understand? That's further worsening the situation. PDP is looking quite, but an Atiku is not backing off. You know, a person of Atiku's stature will say, okay, you guys, let's sit down and resolve this thing. As a father.
He should be able to do that.
He's not playing father. He's playing actor too.
Comrade, our time is fast spent. Thank you very much for being a part of the program.
When last did you hear about Saraki in PDP?
He's been quiet. He's been very, very quiet. That's true. But he should be one of those people playing the father figure. I mean, trying to bring all the parties together, all the aggrieved parties together, in the interest of the survival of the party.
I think the field is now for the weakest of this world.
That was the party that was used to be known as the largest political party in Africa.
Yeah.
But now it's breaking up on a daily basis.
I want to believe that we are evolving, and I still want to believe that processes. They say democracy is not an event. We are evolving. I hope we're...
All right. Thank you very much once again, Comrade Ayode Jajishokwe.
My pleasure always.
All right. That's the wrap for today. We're back again tomorrow morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on Solutions, the 93.9 FM. My name is Adi Damola Lafewa. Do have a very fruitful day. Good morning.